Listed Taylorville Estates Assisted Living, where they're encouraging independence and enriching lives. Find out more by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome in to WTIM, your information station. I'm Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. We thank you all for tuning in today, and thanks so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. On the phone line, getting us started here, Jack Myers, Public Affairs Specialist with the Social Security Administration for the last time in 2024. How you doing today, Jack?
Hey, doing well, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing well, and we got some big news here as we move into the new year with Social Security benefits. What do we need to know here? What's changing?
Well, there is a raise coming.
Wow.
So that's, always good news. As we approach the new year, it's time to talk a little bit about the cost of living adjustment that'll be coming for next year. So more than 72.5 million Americans are going to see a 2.5% increase in their Social Security benefits and SSI payments in 2025. And breakdown in terms of how many people get which type of benefit, there are nearly 68 million Social Security beneficiaries who will be seeing that 2.5% increase, and then nearly 7.5 million SSI recipients. So if you're following along with me, Tim, you might be thinking, well, 68 plus 7.5, that doesn't equal 72.5. So where do those numbers come from?
Yeah.
Well, the reason for that is there's a little bit of overlap there. There are some people who get both Social Security and SSI benefits. If you have a fairly low Social Security monthly benefit amount, you might be able to get some SSI on top of that. So that's where we come up with that breakdown there. But the good news here is for all those folks, the increase is going to be effective with the payments that will be received in January for Social Security, or actually December 31st for SSI, because since January 1st is a holiday and the 1st is normally the SSI payment date, that SSI payment for January will be showing up on December 31st.
Very, very awesome. These cost of living adjustments, does Social Security do these every year?
So, there's a good chance of one every year. It doesn't necessarily happen every year, Tim, because basically since 1975, the Social Security cost of living adjustment has been automatically tied to inflation. So, the whole purpose of the COLA is to ensure that the purchasing power of Social Security and SSI benefits is not eroded by inflation. And so these rates will increase when the cost of living rises. And of course, there's got to be a measurement for that, right? So what we use is a measurement of cost of living that comes from the Department of Labor's Consumer Price Index for urban and clerical wage earners. That's a mouthful, I know, but it goes by the acronym CPIW.
Okay.
And basically, when we're trying to see if there's going to be an increase, what we compare is the average CPIW from the third quarter of last year. So that's going to be July, August, and September of 2023 in this case. That gets compared to the third quarter of the current year. So the third quarter of 23 compared to the third quarter of 24. And if there is an increase, the average CPIW for that third quarter, then that increase is the COLA. So it just so happens that the increase from 23 to 24 was 2.5%. And so that's what the cost of living adjustment is for 2025. But if there hadn't been an increase, or, in some cases, maybe there could be a decrease, if that was the case, then we wouldn't see a cost of living adjustment. But more times than not, there is an increase in that CPIW from the third quarter of last year to the third quarter of this year. So typically we do see a cost of living adjustment, but like I said, it's not guaranteed. It just all kind of depends on what inflation does.
Okay, very interesting to hear those formulas there, and then how you come up with those numbers there. How does Medicare and the deductibles work in with Social Security? Is that we have to keep track of there?
Well, it's a good question, Tim, because a lot of times people will connect the two things, because even though Medicare and Social Security are separate, if you receive monthly benefits from Social Security and you're enrolled in Medicare Part B, then unless you're receiving help through Medicaid, your Medicare Part B premium is going to be deducted from your monthly Social Security payment. So a lot of times people will connect those two for that reason. And Medicare did announce recently that the 2025 Part B premium is going to go up. It was $174.70 in 2024, and that's going up to $185 in 2025. So that will correspond with this COLA adjustment. Again, that's $185 going to be the standard premium for Medicare in 2025. And these notices, or these increases, I should say, are not something you have to ask for. They happen automatically, and we're in the process of sending notices out so that you have an idea what your new benefit amount is going to be for 2025. Those are going out through the month of December. So if you haven't already gotten yours, you should be getting it soon.
Perfect. And that was my next question. Where do people need to go, and what do they need to do to receive this increase? Not a thing. So that's awesome. Thank you for working that in right there. And kind of looking back on the standard parts for B premium, is that you kind of mentioned this, but it's accounted for in that COLA formula?
So it's not really part of the COLA formula. Okay. They are two separate issues, but I wanted to kind of just recognize the fact that people will often think of the two things together, and the connection there is because that premium is taken out of the monthly Social Security payment if you're receiving a payment and enrolled in Medicare. They are really two separate things, but a lot of times people do kind of lump them together in their mind because from a practical perspective, the timing is the same. Okay. They hit at the same time. You get the COLA and the same payment that you see whatever change happens to be coming for the new year's Medicare Part B premium.
Very awesome. Any final words here on cost of living adjustments and Social Security benefits increasing 2.5% in this 2025 year, Jack?
Well, I mentioned the notices are on their way out now, but something that I didn't mention yet is that you may have actually gotten your notice quite a bit earlier. And the way that you could do that is if you have a My Social Security account, so if you go to ssa.gov and create your own personal My Social Security account, if you had already done that earlier, prior to November 20th of this year and opted in to electronic notices, you would have gotten your COLA notice back in November. So you would have had access to that much earlier. If you want to have that for next year, go ahead and set up your My Social Security account today, and then in your message preferences, go ahead and opt into that electronic notice so that you can get that earlier when this time of year comes around. It'll be here before we know it, right? We're talking about 2025, and before we know it, we'll be on the cusp of 2026. Oof. It just seems like time goes so fast.
Yeah, it really, really does there. But I thank you for working all that in there as well. ssa.gov/my-account for your profile and all that general information, and ssa.gov/COLA to learn more about these cost of living adjustments as we move into 2025. We got about a minute left in this first segment, Jack Myers. Some other important figures from Social Security that you want to work in this first half?
Yeah, there are a lot of things that change, a lot of numbers that change as we go into the new year. The first one I'll mention, and then maybe we'll hit on some more of these after the break, but the maximum amount of earnings that are taxable by Social Security in 2025 will increase to $176,100. Okay. So right now in 2024, that max is $168,600. Next year, again, it's going to be $176,100. And basically, that's the point at which you stop paying into Social Security if your taxable income, your earned income, that is, hits that threshold.
Okay. That's very important. We'll work more into that when we come back from this break. But we got Jack Myers on the phone right now, Public Affairs Specialist with the Social Security Administration, just informing us on all we need to know. Social Security benefits increasing in 2025 for 72.5 million folks with a 2.5% increase there. Much more to talk about with Jack. You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show, and thanks so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, in Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. Be right back on WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
This Miller Media Group radio station and our online daily newspaper, TaylorvilleDailyNews.com, have got winter weather covered. With our exclusive event delay software, closings and cancellations are posted instantly when received, 24/7, and also air every 10 minutes during applicable times. And find out the latest road conditions at the road conditions icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Whether online or on air, we've got you covered.
At Memorial Health, great things start with great teamwork.
My name is Natalie Faltenberg. I'm from the ultrasound department here at Springfield Memorial Hospital, and I work directly with the other sonographers as their clinical specialist. I listen to all of their needs that they have. I like to say that my team doesn't work for me, I work for them. So I always tell them any issues, any questions, please come to me. I want to help you out.
Join our great team today at jobs.memorial.health. Memorial is an equal opportunity employer.
That night, in the fields near Bethlehem, some shepherds were guarding their sheep. All at once, an angel came down to them from the Lord, and the brightness of the Lord's glory flashed around them. The shepherds were frightened, but the angel said, "Don't be afraid. I have good news for you, which will make everyone happy. This very day, in King David's hometown, a Savior was born for you. He is Christ the Lord. You will know who he is because you will find him dressed in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger." Suddenly, many other angels came down from heaven and joined in praising God. They said, "Praise God in heaven, peace on earth to everyone who pleases God."
That is what Christmas is all about. Please take a moment out of this hectic holiday season and say a prayer of thanks for the greatest Christmas gift the world has ever received.
Merry Christmas from Jansen's Heating and Air.
Hi everyone, Nicole Patrick here, your new local country financial representative at 917 West Bresser in Taylorville. I'm proud to recognize the Tornado student athletes that represent our community by being the exclusive sponsor of the WTIM Nicole Patrick Country Financial Player of the Game. During Tornado sports broadcasts this school year, WTIM announcers will select a player at the end of each game who will receive a certificate for being named our Player of the Game. Good luck to all the teams this season, and go Tornadoes!
Get both COVID and flu vaccines at the Christian County Health Department. Both high-dose and regular-dose flu vaccines are in stock. Make your appointment now to be protected this winter. Get their number and more info by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Here's Dr. Pavi Gill from Springfield Clinic, Taylorville.
Lifestyle medicine is about motivating you to improve your quality of life by changing habits and behaviors.
Find out more by clicking Dr. Gill's icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back into WTIM, your information station. On the phone with Jack Myers, Public Affairs Specialist with the Social Security Administration on this WTIM morning show. Thanks so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. That first half, we talked about Social Security benefits increasing in 2025. Now, more important figures with Social Security. We were talking about taxable Social Security earnings and increased incoming, and kind of talking about real wages and in more normal wages here. Break this down for us, Jack Myers.
Yeah, it's important that we kind of touch on some of these things, Tim, and some of these things that are changing that we're talking about here are going to be, more recognizable to those that they pertain to. For example, this limit that we're talking about, it's not really going to affect many of us. It's really the high earners that have to think about this. So each year, or most years anyway, the amount of earnings that are potentially taxable by Social Security will typically go up a little bit. So that's what's happening. The first segment we talked about that limit. So in 2024, that limit is $168,600, and that's going up to $176,100 next year. What that means is if a person is working and earning that amount of money or more, they stop paying the 6.2% in the Social Security once they get to 168.6 in 2024. But they're going to have to pay that 6.2 into Social Security up to 176.1 in 2025. So that's changing a little bit next year. There are several other things that change. For example, in order to get what we call credits for Social Security, you have to earn a certain amount of money. So in 2024, one credit would take $1,730 of gross wages or net earnings from self-employment, and that's going to go up to $1,810 in 2025. You can get up to 4 credits per year, so if you earn 4 times that, you'll get your full 4 credits for the year. Generally, you need 40 credits to qualify for a retirement benefit. So if you hit that threshold at least 10 times, or if you stretched it out over a larger number of years, you would have some base eligibility for a retirement benefit. But we're going to use your 35 best years, and the more money you make, the better off you'll be in terms of what your monthly benefit is. So working more and earning more and paying in more is beneficial. But to get that base eligibility, 1 credit next year is going to be $1,810. And again, you would need to earn 4 times that to get the full 4 credits for the year.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for breaking that down for us. How about earning limits based on disability with Social Security?
So earnings limits, there are a couple different earnings limits we'll talk about. So for earnings limits that are not based on disability, let's start there. If you're getting like a retirement benefit from Social Security, for example, that's not a disability-based benefit. If you're under your full retirement age for the entirety of 2025, then your limit is going to increase from the $22,320 you're allowed to make this year up to $23,400 in 2025. If you're going to be turning your full retirement age at some point in 2025, there will be no limit once you get to that full retirement age. And for the months leading up to full retirement age, the limit will increase from the $59,520 that it is this year in 2024 up to $62,160 in 2025. And again, Tim, these numbers are things that are going to make a lot more sense to people who are living in it right now, people who are affected by them. But you can get a summary of all these numbers on our website. If you go to ssa.gov, look for our cost of living adjustment press release, and then within there, there's a fact sheet that has a breakdown of all of these things we're talking about here right now.
Awesome. You got to have that fact sheet, and I'm so glad you guys have that. SSA.gov for that one?
Yep, SSA.gov. And then there are a few things that are changing the earnings thresholds for those who receive Social Security disability benefits. Substantial gainful activity for non-blind individual. Right now, it's $1,550 a month in 2024. That's going up to $1,620 per month in 2025. For blind individuals, it's currently $2,590, and that's going up to $2,700. And then the SSI federal payment maximum for someone who's getting SSI, that's going up from $943 a month this year to $967 next year. So that's that 2.5% increase. $967 will be the max benefit amount for SSI in 2025. So again, 2.5% increase from $943 to $967 for next year.
Okay, lots of figures and things to be aware of as we move into this 2025 year. We got about a minute left. Jack Myers, where can we move from here? Most important for our listeners, you think?
Well, I think just always check out our website, ssa.gov. If you want, again, a breakdown of these things that are changing for 2025, look for that cost of living adjustment press release. And then within that, you'll see the fact sheet that's got all these numbers broken down there and side-by-side comparisons of the 2024 numbers compared to the 2025 numbers.
Perfect. Jack Myers, we are totally out of time here, but I appreciate your time today. You're always keeping us informed. Have a great one.
You too. Thanks, Tim.
Absolutely. That's Jack Myers, Public Affairs Specialist with the Social Security Administration here on our WTIM Morning Show. Thanks so much to the show. Stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. You can find the stream on Facebook at Taylorville Daily News and on YouTube at WTIM TV. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
With SRN News.